Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Hakeem Baba-Ahmed here in Abuja. It's May Day. Congratulations to all workers all over the world, wherever you may be watching tonight. It's a celebration of the rigor and the efforts of those who are working hard every day to make our nation better in every sphere of life. Thank you for all you do for our country. And all over the world, there is this recognition of May Day, and in Nigeria, the celebration has been across the country. In parts of the country, you can see workers are donning different uniform clothing and marching past and celebrating, gathering, and singing solidarity songs, making demands known in the different banners and flyers and in the posters and the bills that they carry around, demanding for better working conditions for workers. Well, the organized labor in Nigeria is asking President Bola Tinubu to immediately reverse what it describes as the unconstitutional suspension of the elected government of Rivers State through a state of emergency. It's part of the demands they put forward by both the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress, the two of them, Joe Ajero and Festus Osifo, during the May Day celebration held at the Eagle Square earlier today in Abuja.
Suggest once again that government should deliberately put more money into the hands of workers who drive the economy, who drive the local economy, support local industries, and recover and expand, end the statistical gerrymandering, rebasing inflation, unemployment, and GDP figures does not feed the people and build a real economy that can survive the dignity of jobs and hope. When the economy is doing well, workers and citizens do not need any government spokesperson to tell us.
Tax bill trying to bleed us dry. Crafted behind closed doors, this bill slaps heavy taxes on Nigerian workers, meager housing, transportation, and medical allowances, while letting the rich and corporations off the hook. Today, Nigeria's minimum wage stands at 70,000 naira per month, 840,000 naira per year. Yet the government wants to tax anyone earning above 800,000 naira. Imagine taxing a man whose annual income barely buys 8 bags of rice. It is inhuman and wicked. Expanding VAT on essential goods will only worsen inflation, punishing the poor. Instead of squeezing workers, tax and obscene profit of big corporations and the idle wealth of the elite, we must demand the immediate withdrawal of this anti-worker tax bill.
All right, those are the demands being made earlier today by the leaders of the different units of the labor organization, the Trade Union Congress and the Nigerian Labor. Let me bring you up to speed and show you what happened across the different states. I'll begin in Bauchi so you can see the sound and the sights of what it looked like in the marking of the May Day, the Workers' Day, in different parts of the country. And this one is in Bauchi. To Zamfara State, where workers are also making similar demands, asking for better working conditions in a March past scenario where different labor union organizations are seen marching in different colors representing their different organizations. Similar thing happened earlier today in Kaduna in the northwest region of the country. And that's in Kaduna State. The governor and members of the State Executive Council were present to cheer on the workers who were all equally dressed in colorful attires. Kaduna State, let me take you to the north central state of Plateau. Plateau State, in the north central region, similar situation where workers gathered to mark the Workers' Day. And in River State, in the south-south region, the situation similar to what you find in different parts of the country. And from Rivers to Kebbi State, from Kebbi to Osun State, the situation in Osun seems to be a bit more dramatic and different, though the workers en masse gathered to mark the day. But this is a particular scenario which played out in Osun State. In Osun State, workers gathered, and after the march passed, and at the end of the day, the leader of the labor in Osun State, in a very unusual and dramatic manner, made a position of the labor known about the 2026 governorship election in the state. Take a listen. Interesting scenario playing out in Osun State. A bit of politics got into the celebration of the Workers' Day in Osun State. All right then, so much to talk about. I will be showing you the response of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. She's been responding to what Mr. Olisa Agbakuba, the lawyer to the Senate President Godswill Akpabio, requesting her to apologize on sexual harassment claims and allegations. But that's going to be after we serve you with some of your political roundup stories.
Former Speaker of the House of Representatives Yakubu Dogara says President Tinubu will only be eligible for a second term based on his performance. Honorable Dogara spoke after a public lecture held at the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution in Abuja. Mr. Dogara said President Tinubu, in the course of his leadership, has shown courage through his reforms on the economy. He therefore called on Nigerians to give the president time to actualize his vision for the country.
Some of the reforms he has initiated, it will take courage, and he has demonstrated that courage. So we want to see the fruits. And then I believe by the time Nigerians are beginning to see the fruits, suffering easing of food becoming more abundant on their table, they will be able to come to a judgment as to what they need to do.
The governor of Edo State, Monday Okpebholo, has approved a new minimum wage of 75,000 naira for Edo workers. Governor Okpebholo will disclose this in a speech during the Workers' Day celebration at the Samuel Okpemudia Stadium in Benin Benin City, the Edo State capital, also said his administration was reviewing over 3,000 Edo Star teachers for employment, among other interventions adopted in different sectors. The chairman, Northeast Governors Forum, Professor Babagana Zulum, has described the recent attacks on military and civilians by Boko Haram insurgents as a matter of serious concern that requires a holistic approach to contain. The governor said this in Damaturu during the 11th Northeast Governors Forum meeting. He asked the military to sustain the fight so as to bring the war to an end.
The recent re-emergence of attacks by the insurgents is a matter of serious concern, capable of undermining the successes already recorded in the theater of war. May I humbly suggest that the military should revisit its operational strategy so as to be more offensive.
Similarly, governors of the North Central region have resolved to carry out joint security operations with a view to addressing issues of insecurity in the area. Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State made this known while chairing an expanded State Security Council meeting at the Government House in Lafia, the state capital. The governors of the region resolved to conduct joint security operations to rid the North Central of bad elements, especially bandits, during the recent meeting which held in Abuja last Thursday.
We came up with ideas of some kind of a joint effort, joint efforts especially around Wamba area with Bokos, because it has been a flashpoint, and then some of the areas that we are also going to work with Benue and other areas that Nasarawa State will Kogi.
The administrator of Rivers State, retired Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibaz, has affirmed his commitment to improving the welfare of workers across the state. In a state broadcast, the administrator outlined key areas of intervention currently being addressed by the government. These include the timely payment of salaries and pensions, as well as the resolution of salary arrears, with approval already granted for the payment of newly employed staff at the Rivers State University Teaching Hospital and the judiciary.
I'm giving serious attention to the payment of 32,000 Naira consequential adjustment for pensioners in line with the federal government's approval, and the payment of gratuities to those who have served and retired but are still waiting for their entitlements.
The people of Ijoros and Urobos of the Warri Federal Constituency have called on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to urgently include the ongoing fresh delineation of electoral wards and polling units in compliance with the Supreme Court's directive. At a joint press conference in Warri, the two ethnic groups commended INEC for its impartial fieldwork report, which confirms that the Ijoros are the majority in Warri North and Warri Southwest local government areas, while the Urobos dominate Warri South. They firmly rejected calls by the Shekiri ethnic nationality to use the pre-existing voter register, maintaining that such a move would contradict the Constitution, the Electoral Act, and INEC guidelines.
Which independent body is more important than INEC? That is empowered.
And let's now get to speak tonight on the program with in the Nigerian politics, Dr. Hakeem Baba-Ahmed. Recently served as a special advisor to the President of Political Matters, a position from sparked nation about the motivation, resignation, actions on what the Tinubu administration and its candid remarks about Tinubu's political pro-Tinubu administration and its candid new remarks on President Bola Tinubu's political prospects heading into the 2027 elections. He's been speaking also for the Northern Elders, and now he's joined us in our studio. Thank you so much, Dr. Baba-Ahmed.
Thank you very much. Long time no
It's been a while.
Yes,
you went AWOL.
Well, I was in
quiet
a
for a
position
bit.
where I couldn't speak. Sadly, not to the public.
Yeah.
But I missed you.
we miss speaking with you. I mean, you know how intellectual and how engaging conversations with you could be.
Thank you.
Especially you're always speaking for the elders of the North. But it's interesting. I found it as some contradictions, though, when you took the appointment. You are a brother to Peter Obi's vice presidential candidate, a chief of staff to former Senate President Bukola, who no longer is not longer on the side of the politics and the contradictions. When the past took that upon me, who convinced you to take it?
Well, let's start. There was no that is elder brother and working for this administration that I understood the problem. Tested for the vice of the country. I joined Tinubu months after the elections. Gave me his, told me naturally. But he wasn't alone. A lot also told me naturally. He said, don't go. But he wasn't alone. A lot of other people also told me, don't take it. But I saw it as national duty, the same way he saw his vice presidential aspirations as social.
Who offered you the role?
Well, to be honest, the vice president. But the vice president had to had to get the consent of the president before I became an advisor. So, I mean, the vice president facilitated my appointment, and the president approved. So I would say President Tinubu approved my appointment. Otherwise, I would never have been an advisor.
And that was against the run of play. A family really? On one hand, and what you have represented politically in the past. Hasn't that actually caused some kind of distrust between you and some of your friends and family members since you took that role?
No, not at all, not at all. Look, working for a government, especially Tinubu's government that had inherited a really messed up country by Buhari, was the most patriotic thing anybody could do. You couldn't just turn your back on an administration that says, come and help fix the country after the damage that you so graphically criticized. I was one of the, perhaps the most, one of the most vocal critics of President Buhari. So if a government takes over from President Buhari and says, come and help fix the country, you couldn't possibly say no. I prefer to be a critic for life. I was never a critic for life. I wasn't a critic all my life. I participated very actively in Buhari's election. Actively. I was chairman of his party for 4 years in my state, long before he became president. So I wasn't a critic. I became an outspoken critic, one, because my organization had seen the situation in which the country was. A few months into the presidency of President Buhari, we could see that he was just interested in becoming president. He wasn't interested in governing, certainly not governing well. We started criticizing him. We began by advising him privately. Then we started saying he was wrong here and he was wrong there. And then when it became clear that he was not interested in public opinion, we became outstanding critics.
But for those of you who backed Buhari, did he disappoint you?
Absolutely.
He represented
absolutely
a northern
No, he didn't.
Force.
He didn't. Buhari didn't represent the North.
It was all by himself, was alone?
If you are talking about how he became president, that's a different thing.
So the reason, and I'll make it very clear. Let me use myself as an example. Rarely do I do that. I'm from Kwara State.
Yeah.
I clearly from a Yoruba origin, from the women Ekiti people who could have been in Ekiti State by now. But if I become the president of Nigeria today, I could clearly represent two parts of this country.
Absolutely.
I could actually represent the Yoruba people.
Absolutely.
Or represent the northern region of the country.
Absolutely.
So the reason why I'm asking is whether or not those of you who supported Buhari to become president, the North speaks as one, as long as I remember.
Not really. We didn't support Buhari because he was a northerner. We supported Buhari because he was a better option than Jonathan in 2015. It was a much better option at the time. And we supported him because we could quite clearly see that Jonathan's administration was weak. It was soft on Boko Haram. It was soft on corruption. It was soft on a lot of things that we believed a government that he had inherited from Umaru Yar'Adua ought to have been doing. We needed a farmer president who would hold the country together. And we saw in Buhari a better option. And we supported him, not because he was a northerner, but because he was infinitely, at the time, we thought, oh, this guy was tough, corruption, he has a reputation for being intolerant of, he had fought Chadians who had invaded Nigeria many years ago. He had run a country that jailed politicians, corrupt politicians for 300 years and stuff like that. And we supported him. And it could have been anybody. We just were looking for a better option than Jonathan.
But he ended up being the opposite.
Yes, and you see,
is that a position? Is a question?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I don't think we've had a government that is worse than Buhari's government.
You think Buhari's government was the worst in history?
Well, we haven't had a government, and not by the records that I've seen. And believe I'm 70 years old, and I've followed Nigerian politics from way back in the early 70s. I haven't seen 8 years under a leadership that just didn't govern, didn't care about the priorities, didn't set priorities, didn't chase, didn't care about how the poor lived, how secure the country was, how the young people needed to find futures. I didn't see one. And the rest comes back to the point where I joined. I couldn't see myself sitting on the fence when another government that had the mandate of Nigerians to fix Buhari's damage says, please come in and help. It would have been irresponsible to say no.
But do you regret in this moment that you work with the Tinubu?
No, I don't.
Would you do it again if you had opportunity?
Under the way the Tinubu government is going, no. But regretting going in, I don't. No. But regretting going in, I don't. I got out because there was no space. I didn't see that fire, that commitment, that zeal to fix a country that has been wrecked. And I saw instead a country that is just getting worse.
So what you saw was more of its facade, more or less, not real commitment. Is that what you're saying?
See, the records, there are many Nigerians. The one I saw was where in 2023, Nigerians lined up, elected Tinubu, President Tinubu, because they thought, okay, Buhari is gone, we're in a mess, let's elect a president that would fix Nigeria. President Tinubu comes in. They won bang. He says, put their belts on. We're going into some turbulence. And remove subsidy. And you would think a president at that stage was quite prepared to undertake such a monumental policy. It turned out he didn't. He had a handful of advisors that then had to fix a problem. They started looking for solutions because from day one he pushed the country to the deep end, and we've never really recovered in a way. We keep seeing promises, and the difference between what President Tinubu's people say the country is, and the difference between that and what the country is today, is miles apart. And you have to, I've said somewhere else, you have to wonder whether we are living in the same Nigeria. I think that the issue is, should one have committed to working for a government that had at least the mandate of the people to fix things, particularly in the northern part of the country? It's unbelievable, the levels of insecurity and poverty. It's unbelievable.
Is it worse than the Tinubu government met it?
It's worse than Buhari left it.
I mean, Buhari government, sorry.
It's worse.
Really? But the statistics and the data don't say it.
This is the thing with the statistics that the administration keeps reeling out. And you really wonder where they get the statistics from. You go to villages, go to Katsina, go to Zamfara, go to Niger State, go to Plateau, go to Benue, go to virtually all, in fact, literally, go to every part of Nigeria. More blood is shed now than it was maybe 2 years ago. And yet you see this kind of these statistics that says, oh, there are less killings, there are less violence. And you have to ask, do our leaders actually know how our people live? Do they know who's telling them all this? How do these statistics get acquired? Because if you want to really measure how people live, you don't do that by just some statistics that someone gives you. Do the president's people really tell him the state of the country? Does he know? Does he know the level of poverty? Does he know how many families, entire families
but
live
the
without
Tinubu
feeding?
personality that we know, this was the man who was governor of Lagos State and he was on the street himself. Is it different from the Tinubu that is in the presidency right now?
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I don't know much about the. I remember I was supposed to know one or two occasions, and he showed me how good a politician was on both occasions. He literally did what I asked him to do because it was in the interest of Lagos State government, and I was working for the federal government. I almost got in trouble. I saw a president that was stubborn, almost visionary, but he ran Lagos for 8 years. Whether he ran it well or not, I don't know. But he ran Lagos well. He resisted Obasanjo's overbearing and strong determination to get rid of him. Beyond that, then I saw him as a calculating politician. He gave his platform to Atiku. He gave his platform to Nuhu Ribadu. He participated actively in then he agreed with Buhari, created a platform which allowed Buhari to become president, because for 2003, 2007, 2011, Buhari was running, he didn't get anywhere.
So without Tinubu, Buhari may have not made it in 2015.
To be honest with you, I think that substantially that coalition, CPC, APC, AC, was decisive in terms of giving the President Buhari victory. And as I said, I was part of the campaign. I had a frontline seat. So I know what I'm talking about. And Tinubu's contribution to Buhari's emergence was genuinely a deciding factor. So in many ways, you have to give him credit for being a calculating president. I don't know what had happened since 2015, but I don't see the fire. I don't see that calculation. I don't see that. I didn't see much of him, to be fair to him. I didn't see much of him, but certainly not the way the administration.
You were called in to advise this government on what Tinubu was very good at. There are those who think that he was a master strategist, politically speaking, and that is what you were called in to advise. And would you say that you were allowed to do your job?
No, I didn't do any job. I was supposed to be advisor on political matters. I didn't do any advising.
Or to the president? To
the president, in the office of the vice president. Okay. You have to understand, at least in constitutional terms, it's the same thing. Basically, it's supposed to be both the vice president and I were both supposed to advise the president.
But there isn't actually, in the real sense of it, there isn't a political advisor to the president.
There are two of us.
Oh, are there?
Yes, there's one called Darazo. So they have two special advisors.
On politics?
On politics, on political matters.
I cover politics. I know little of them, though.
Well, I haven't met the first one either. I haven't met him.
With about 6 months or so that you spent in that place?
I spent a year and 6 months.
Did you request to meet the president?
No. It was offered, but to be honest, I suspect when I said to the person, if I do sit down, I might say to him things that he may not be very happy about. I think they developed a cold feet, because if I did, I would have told him exactly what I said in that open letter to the president. Mr. President, please don't run again.
Why? I mean, what gives you there are those who will say, what gives you the authority?
It's not authority. I'm making a request showing, I'm not giving him instructions. I remember I said, I would have said, Mr. President, please don't run again.
Why?
Because I think that first he has become a president. So that's settled. A lot of the people who are now, including President Tinubu, quite possibly, want to be president just simply because they want to be presidents. We had the case of Buhari, perhaps even the Vice President Atiku's multiple attempts at becoming president, maybe primarily driven by the desire to be president, finally. And so, because there were better things that he could do than to be a president of the country. If he spends the next 2 years of his life doing the things that he ought to have done that he hasn't done yet, or improving on what he has done, and then, like I said in my letter, look for a younger person, more energetic, healthier, more focused, more committed to the future of this country. Find, even from your party, find someone that, a group of people among them, younger people, the kind of people who really feel the pain about what Nigeria is today, the kind of people whose children are just growing up, and they can look at them and say, what will happen to my child or my grandchild in the next 20 years? The way this country is going downhill, consistently going downhill. There were a lot of educated, very patriotic Nigerians who desperately want to be part of the future of this country. Trust them with power. You've done your bit. And so you don't need to run for another one. Spend the next 2 years fixing Nigeria. Fix the economy as much as possible. Fix insecurity.
So you think that he doesn't have the capacity for the next 4 years after the initial 4 years?
Well, it's not so much that he doesn't have the capacity. I don't know what would happen in future. I haven't seen evidence that the last 2 years have prepared him to continue to govern for 6 years. But even more importantly, he doesn't need to be president to actually do something good for this country. If he draws the line at 2027 and prepares his party and the country to vote in new set of people, everywhere APC governor stands down, use your power and influence, get them to bring out younger people, a lot of people with energy, commitment, passion to fix what is broken, which is this country. History will record you as the greatest leader.
Would you like him to have taken that choice of that person, the person you're describing from the Southwest also?
He let him come from anywhere, believe me. At this stage, it's not important anymore where our next leader...
North,
absolutely. He could come from anywhere. At this stage, anybody who's talking to you about North and South doesn't know what they're talking about.
So you're not impressed by what you have seen so far, and you don't think that with what is on the ground, Tinubu should just not run in 2027. And by that, do you imagine that maybe you were wrong in your assumption that maybe Tinubu was a better candidate
than
those who were on the ballot in 2023?
I never really participated much in choosing who should vote.
But from the benefit of hindsight, do you think he was better than the lot that were on the ballot?
Again, to be honest with you, I participated with northern groups in assessing these candidates. You remember there was a time when northern groups got together, about 5 or 6 people turned up and we asked them questions. Beyond the moment parties chose who they wanted, as far as I was concerned, my job was done. In fact, everybody's job was done. You had to leave the whole thing to the voter. Voters decided it was Tinubu. As far as I was concerned, that is a decision made democratically. If anybody disputed it, they could go to court. I had no problems with him becoming elected, being legitimately elected as president. I wanted him to succeed. I want him to succeed. Believe me, for the sake of the country, I desperately want President Tinubu.
If he calls you back and say, sorry for whatever has happened.
He won't, Sharon. What's the point?
Don't be pessimistic. He's a man anyways. He's not God.
No, I won't go back. I can't. Come on.
Not for anything.
Not for anything. I've done my bit. It didn't work out. I have to move on.
But if you say it's in the interest of the nation,
it can't be in the interest of the nation if I'm just going in and out. I'll be like some of these politicians jumping up they're between one party in the morning and in the next evening they have another party. They're talking about coalitions. I want to be better than those guys.
But you know what, Dr. Baba-Ahmed? There is this very strong story going around to say, oh, for some reasons, the vice president seemed to have been sidelined. When you were on the inside, what did you see?
I didn't see it.
You think that
I find it odd.
The cordiality is still there between both men?
Well, between the two of them, I think those rumors are cooked, to be honest. I mean, I never really interacted. I never sat down with Tinubu to ask him about how he felt about Shettima. I spoke with Shettima. And so I can tell you only from Shettima's perspective. Shettima, I don't think Shettima feels he's been sidelined. I don't think he feels Tinubu has any grievances against him. Villa politics always involves.
But what did you see? What you heard and what you see.
I saw a president and a vice president who worked well.
The synergy was there.
Yes.
Was it better than the Obasanjo-Atiku synergy in the first 4 years?
You picked the wrong example. The first 4 years of Obasanjo, Atiku was immensely powerful, had a lot of trust.
A lot of people thought it was exceptional.
Yeah, well,
they had gave a lot of power to the.
But you have to remember, Obasanjo literally didn't know anything about being a democratic president. Atiku did. He was a politician. He had been a politician for a long time.
He has always wanted to.
He was also an elected governor.
Yeah, he was.
You know, and he had the PDR.
He stand down to come and.
Now then, in the transition between 2003 to 2003 again, was Obasanjo's second term, they fell out, and that's it. Obasanjo decided he wasn't going to sack him or impeach him, whatever, but he's going to continue, and he will render him completely redundant, and he did. And like I said, people have said to me since that letter was published, why are you singling out Tinubu? You keep saying president don't run. What about other politicians?
Absolutely, because I was going to ask you. You were asking for younger people. Does it affect Atiku too? Would you say Atiku also should stand down? You've not spoken about Atiku. Why are you singling out Tinubu?
If I have a chance to sit with the Waziri of Adama, I would say to him, sir, he might know a little bit better than I know Tinubu. Sir, you've done your bit. You've held up the democratic process. You represented it well. Your name has been written in gold. You've been persistent. It's time to yield the ground, to yield the position to a younger person. Don't run.
Even Atiku?
Yes, play the father role. Find good younger person.
Do you think Atiku that you know will listen to that kind of advice?
I think so. To be honest with you, I think so.
I don't think always wanted to be president.
Well, you can, yes.
Bola Tinubu also wanted to be president.
Yeah, but I'm advising them against what appears to be what they want. And I'm trying to point out to them. Actually, the truth about it is that if PDP were to field a younger person, more capable, somebody with less skeletons in their cupboard, somebody with less liabilities, age and health and everything, believe me, they will take APC to the cleaners. With all this bulging party bulging with people running away from prosecution, people looking for offices, the APC is growing with a lot of the wrong people. All these defections are informed by only one thing. They're looking for positions or they are running away from EFCC.
But the FCC chairman told us on this program yesterday that there's nothing like that, no political interferences.
Well, they're not exactly going to write him a letter of information. They will write to him and say, dear chairman of the FCC, it may have come to your notice that I'm leaving my party PDP to join APC. Believe me, it's nothing to do with the file that is in front of you. I want to fix the country. They are not likely to tell him. I watched you and him yesterday. The question is not what the chairman of the EFCC. He will do his job. Especially the chairman I now know. I know him very well. I think he's a good chap, a gentleman. They are not going to tell him. But I'm telling you, the people who are running into the APC from all over the place are actually a liability to the APC. It's just simply a refugee camp. Political refugee camp, and it will burst.
Let me ask you, what is the position of the North on Tinubu?
The North wants Tinubu to fix northern problems. Insecurity, poverty levels, joblessness, youth, the bulging youth, drugs. It desperately wants. I attended a meeting yesterday of the ACR, and the language there and the atmosphere was different from any other time I've seen. I mean, my group, the Northern Elders Forum, is the more militant group. But yesterday's meeting, the one I attended yesterday, was unique in the manner in which people spoke. Not hostility, not subversion, just simply a demand. The North demands attention. As of right, as a part of this country, we demand more attention.
A political attention?
Yes,
what kind of attention?
Attention to its problems. Insecurity is rising. Poverty levels are rising. We are beginning to feel marginalized. We look like a region of voters. We are only useful every 4 years. When politicians come around and say, okay, Northerners, line up, we'll give you a little bit of rice and macaroni and a little bit of money. Literally, we are reduced to voters. And we are remembered only when the elections are around. Now, with 2 years to go, the North is saying to President Tinubu, look at us. We matter. This country is breaking up, is breaking down. Every inch of Nigeria is suffering. But the North is suffering a lot more than others. Look at the North. That's what we are saying. And the North is, the North, I think you're likely to be, many people will be surprised. You will not see this language about, it has to be a Northerner this time. You won't get that kind of rhetoric. It has to be a better person this time. That will be the language. We want to see someone who has either worked for the North or will work for the North, and the Southeast, and the South-South, and the Southwest.
So you don't see, I mean, at that meeting yesterday of the Northern Elders,
Arewa Consultative.
Arewa Consultative Forum, where they are elders, isn't it? Yes. Most of them are over the age of 60 and the rest.
Yes.
And they are a force that speak in unison for the northern region of the country. So they feel the northern region is marginalized, but the feeling and the fact might be different. The feeling that the North is marginalized could not be true. Could it be true under this government, that the North has been marginalized?
Well, to be honest with you, if you go around this country and you ask everybody, and we speak in the conventional, which sector is favored by this government, everybody will tell you that the Southwest is favored by this administration far above what it's entitled to. Now, if you go to the Southwest, it's quite possible some people will tell you, we didn't ask for it. They didn't vote for him. I mean, the Southwest gave President Tinubu only 23% of the votes he needed to become president. The Southwest, where I come from, gave him 33% of the votes that he needed. So the Northwest gave him a lot more votes than his zone. So, but all these sense of entitlement are secondary now. The bottom line is that all of Nigeria is demanding higher levels of competence, higher levels of commitment, sensitivity to the needs of the people. What about the Southeast, Shehu? For the last 10 to 15 years, nobody has really cared politically about the Southeast. And the whole region is sinking into indifference and insecurity. And virtually, it has become a region where anything goes.
But, I mean, this concentration that we're hearing of Goodluck Jonathan, who are those behind it?
I don't know. And to be honest with you, I don't think it is serious. I'll be honest with you.
Really?
I'm in touch with a lot of the mainstream of public opinion, and I don't think there's anybody really losing sleep over Jonathan coming in or not.
But the Northerners who are supporting Peter Obi, are they now reconsidering now ahead of 2027? Is it very strong?
What I can tell you is that substantially a huge part of the North that voted for Peter Obi did so on ethno-religious basis. Tinubu comes up with Muslim ticket. Northern Christians went crazy. Okay, so we will have our own candidate. And they did. 6 million people. Peter Obi got 6 million votes. A huge part of that came from the North. And it's mostly about, we cannot have a ticket that has 2 Muslims on it. So I think that now the North is a little bit more sensitive to that. We are sensitive to attempts to divide us, to introduce ethno-religious politics, just simply to carve out some parts for someone and leave out some parts of us.
So it's going to be difficult for a Muslim ticket in 2027. You think that the pair of Tinubu and Shetima might not fly again? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is that I think the northern voter is a little bit wiser now and he's not likely to be as gullible to a Muslim ticket than he was in 2023.
But you inferred that Tinubu is likely to win anyways in 2027.
No, I didn't.
You inferred that. I mean, in your inference was the fact that if all things went the way or go the way it is going right now, and that you said he might win in 2027.
I said he could win.
Yeah, if he ignores your advice, you believe that the APC can have his way anyways?
Yeah,
and that
sure.
the Tinubu has a good force politically to have his way.
We still have a long way to go. This is part of where would have been my job. If I had stayed, and if they had allowed me to work, I would be advising him about 2027. I would have said to him, forget 2027 for now. Let them do all the politics. Mr. President, you are elected to govern, not to go on political campaigns. Use these 2 years to govern well and take a good record to 2027. Show the people of the North and the Southeast and the South-South that you're a good president and you deserve to come back. But as things stand, your record isn't very good. Your attention and your energy is being diverted away from governance towards 2027. You have an uncompleted job to do. You're doing the wrong thing. You're allowing PDP to fool you into thinking that you're going to have an election next year in a few months' time. You're falling into a trap. That would have been my advice to him. Focus on governance.
Do you think Peter Obi could have done better in the last 2 years if he got a chance?
I really don't know, to be honest. I know him as a person. I think he has a good idea about a lot of things.
What about Atiku?
I don't know. Atiku has a lot of experience. Look, all these people, all of them, my view is the best service these people can render to this country is to retire themselves. If they don't, then Nigerians should retire them.
As the northern leaders taking a stance already?
The northern leaders are saying we're not going to be swayed by somebody being northern. That's important. We've come a long way.
Back up from Tinubu. As the northern leaders say, we're not supporting Tinubu. Is that
the North is saying? The North is saying we don't have a candidate for 2027, and we won't have a candidate unless he proves that he has either a good record for serving the North or will have a good record for serving the North. But we will not commit to anybody.
All right. Dr. Hakeem Baba-Ahmed has a lot of former in his name, to his credit, in his name. But one of it is that he's now a full-blown elder statesman. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight. Always a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Sherry. It's good to see you. Thank you.
Happy Workers' Day to all of you out there. That's our show tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Hakeem Baba-Ahmed. God bless Nigeria.